Join us as we follow the journey of a massive CO2 absorber tower from the manufacturing plant to a urea and ammonia petrochemical complex, where it is carefully installed in its final position. Inside every ammonia and urea production unit, there's a tower whose name you might not hear very often, but without it, the whole production chain would collapse. It's called the CO2 absorber, and it has one crucial job: removing carbon dioxide from the synthesis gas before it enters the ammonia reactor. The synthesis gas that comes from the reformer, shift reactors, and purification steps still contains a small amount of CO2. It might seem insignificant, but even that small amount can deactivate the ammonia reactor catalyst and completely stop the production. That's why a dedicated tower is designed just to capture CO2. Hi everyone, I'm Alex. Welcome to the Petroplant YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it if you support me with your likes, because creating new videos truly depends on your support. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so YouTube notifies you as soon as a new video is released. Let's continue the video. As I was saying, ammonia and urea plants use a dedicated tower to capture CO2. In the CO2 absorber, the gas enters from the bottom while the CO2 absorbing solution flows downward from the top. This solution can be amines like MEA or DEA. Inside the tower, trays and packings increase the contact area between gas and liquid. Through this contact, CO2 is absorbed into the solution, and the nearly CO2-free gas exits from the top and moves toward the ammonia synthesis unit. But the story isn't just about protecting the catalyst. The absorbed CO2 is regenerated and separated in the regeneration unit, and then it becomes feedstock for the urea production unit. So this troublesome component is transformed into something valuable and white: urea fertilizer that keeps farmlands alive. And this quiet tower completes the cycle. There's another benefit too. Instead of releasing CO2 into the air, it's turned into a useful product. That means both an economic advantage and a small but real step toward environmental protection. So behind this tall, ordinary-looking tower, there's a dual role: protecting the heart of the ammonia process and providing essential feed for the urea unit. Its performance might not stand out at first glance, but without it, no urea or ammonia-producing petrochemical plant could function properly. So next time you walk past massive equipment in a petrochemical plant, remember that one of the most important behind-the-scenes heroes is the CO2 absorber, a tower that constantly and precisely keeps the production of essential materials for modern life running smoothly. And the good news is that today, this heavy-duty hero is finally arriving: a CO2 absorber tower. A 56-meter-tall steel giant weighing 521 tons, which, after 6 months of travel and 570 kilometers of distance, is finally getting here. Imagine this. For 6 months, roads were opened and closed for it. Passing vehicles cleared the way, signs were removed, and routes were modified. Pedestrian bridges were temporarily opened, and power cables were lifted, just so this CO2 absorber tower could continue its journey and get one step closer to its destination. But the real story starts when it's still inside the manufacturing facility. Before the tower is placed on the bogies, engineers need answers to 2 questions. What's the exact weight? Where is the center of gravity? These 2 numbers are like the tower's ID card. Even a small error, just a few centimeters in the center of gravity, can lead to the load tipping over or the bogie axles breaking. That's why the technical team uses precise measurements and leveling calculations to determine the weight and center of gravity accurately. Then comes the choice of the transportation system: bogie or SPMT. Bogies are multi-axle modular transporters with hydraulic steering and controlled suspension. They're like the legs of a massive centipede capable of carrying hundreds of tons. But if the load is heavier than usual, the more advanced SPMT steps in. Each SPMT module has an independent motor, individually controlled wheels, and maneuverability that resembles a giant robot. After choosing the transporter, we reach one of the most sensitive stages, loading the tower onto the bogie. This is usually done using large cranes or heavy hydraulic jacks. Once the equipment is placed on the bogie and the final checks are done, the convoy starts moving. But the movement is far from simple. The route must be inspected beforehand. Bridges must be analyzed, road slopes evaluated, and temporary paths may need to be built. Sometimes, just to cross a particular point, a temporary bridge must be installed or a dirt road must be reinforced. On steep roads or difficult paths, one truck isn't enough. The push-pull method is used. One truck pulls from the front, while one or more trucks push from behind. When transporting ultra-heavy petrochemical equipment, the bogie becomes a living creature weighing hundreds of tons that must be controlled every moment. The speed is usually limited to around 30 kilometers per hour, but the key point is that the bogie never moves alone. Operators walk alongside it on all four sides, people who act as its eyes and ears. These operators constantly coordinate speed, hydraulic pressure, and steering angle, while staying in communication with the truck drivers to prevent even the smallest mistake from turning into an accident. The real challenge begins in downhill sections. If something goes wrong, the operator's first reaction is to activate the bogie's lock pin or brake pin, which limits wheel movement. If that doesn't stop the bogie and the load continues accelerating, the operation enters an emergency phase known at work sites as laying down the bogie. In this situation, the operators open the hydraulic valves to release pressure from the jacks. The central frame of the bogie then rests on the asphalt, acting like a giant brake to stop the load. This maneuver requires real skill and experience because in transporting hundreds of tons, one correct decision can prevent a disaster. After months of traveling through tough roads, the convoy finally reaches the petrochemical plant. But entering the site isn't the end. It's actually the beginning of a harder phase. Soft ground and high axial load mean the path must be reinforced. Steel plates are usually laid on the ground, or a dedicated route is prepared so the equipment can reach the foundation safely for the lifting and installation operation. Now we reach the most critical part, the lift. In heavy lifts, weight isn't the only factor. The lifting radius determines everything. A crane might easily lift 200 tons at a 6-meter radius, but fail to lift the same load even a few centimeters at a 25-meter radius. That's why engineers carefully study the crane's load chart, boom length, boom angle, wind conditions, ground condition, and crane positioning. For installing tall towers, 2 cranes are usually used in a tandem lift. This lift requires perfect coordination, and both cranes must raise the load at the exact same speed to maintain balance. Even the slightest mismatch can overload one crane and put lives at risk. The cranes rise together. The tower is lifted. It slowly lowers onto the foundation. Bolts are tightened. Grouting is completed. The tower stands tall, and the 6-month journey finally comes to an end. This whole process might look like a simple transport job from a distance, but behind it lies science, calculation, risk, experience, held breaths, and the effort of hundreds of people. These journeys are what make building a petrochemical plant one of the most complex and challenging engineering projects. I also have another video about tower installation that I highly recommend watching because it gives you a lot of useful information. I'll leave the link down below in the description so you can find it easily. Thanks for staying with me until the end of the video. Stay tuned for my next one. Take care and goodbye.